Welcome to the Rage Traders Nrl Supercoach podcast. Wolfie here, and today I've got another special video for you. Now, of course, you've seen me do these videos and podcasts before, but this is another pod talk. Now, I thought this feels like the time where we should be talking about pods for those of you that are just doing really well. And I've looked in the Rage Traders 1K league, and some of you, even in the Discord, are like, this is my rank, this is what I'm doing. And even for me, I was like, I love doing pods because it just differentiates everything. Like, we're just talking about the same players, who to get in, who's the best trades of the week. But I love talking about pods. It's most probably the most favorite thing I love to do in Supercoach, because they're things that people don't see. It's things that people miss out on. And it's actually a way that you can just really differentiate your team from others. And that matters so much when you're competing for like a really high rank. So let's get straight into it. Let's talk about some of the players I've found. There was also one other player I was looking at. I don't know if it's in this list, but let's get straight into it, Let's talk about player number one, which is Ruben Garrick, $630,000. Now, I'm going to do something a bit different here, but I'm going to type them in as we talk. So currently 35 break even, $630,000. Now, he's had some really nice scores as of late, and I think Manly are starting to really make a play for this finals period. And I just feel like with Olakau'atu sort of being snubbed from Origin, he's just sneaking in with some attacking stats here and there. And if we look at his points, 85 last game against the Bulldogs, 96 against Souths, 51 and 50 against Gold Coast and Sharks. That you'll live with that for a CT dub. 88, then 93. If you got him around this round 9 period, he had a really average start to the season. First 2 games were just above in your mid 30s, but he's actually been doing quite all right. And the thing I love about him is he now has Melbourne, Parramatta, North Queensland, and Gold Coast as his next games. Now, we know this sort of team is much better than they were at the start of the season. Under 4, and the attack is there. The team has motivation. But on top of that, with Turbo being back, you're going to see this ball float a lot left and right. And I just think if you went for a bit of a double Manly play here, and I'm very tempted to go for like a Garrick into a Turbo, or a Turbo and Olakau'atu. Now, you know me, if they're playing in Origin, I'm going to avoid them until the Origin period is finished. But we know these two guys, maybe Turbo does get put into Origin. I think that would be really insane if he does, because of his injury prone status. But part of me just wants to unleash on this Manly team. Now, they do have the bye in round 22, but this next little period is really nice. And if Turbo can stay healthy, he's a definite season keeper if that is the case. At the moment, Ruben Garrick is listed at a 8% ownership. So he's creeping slowly into that top sort of 11% and onwards. He's still in the top 10%, and he's someone I did have to mention as a possible pod for you. Next, I want to speak about, what did I get rid of there? I got rid of Supercoach. My bad. Next, let's speak about Nafahu White. Now, you're thinking, why are we talking about Nafahu White? Well, there's 2 reasons. 1, he's got FRF to RF duality. 2, he's started posting some really good scores as a front row forward and 2RF. And 3, we've got some injuries and players that we're going to get out of our team. 1 is Jackson Ford, and 2 is, what's his name? Not Alex Twal. I've just completely mind blank. We've got Payne Haas to come back in, Jackson Ford out, and Tarpanay, So Tarpanay is going to be someone we get rid of after this Origin period. He already had an iffy game last week. A lot of missed tackles. I think it was 10 or 11. So these are 2 players you're looking to get rid of and bring in. Now, I know what you're saying. Isn't it just going to be Twal and Payne Haas? And yeah, it likely will be. But this guy can put up numbers along those lines of Haas. The last 2 games he's played I mean, this is crazy. 53 minutes for 72 points is absurd against the Sharks. And then he's gone 80 minutes for 73 points. Base of 69 and 60 in his last 2 games. I mean, the base is there. This guy is on the cusp of being a really good front row forward in terms of a Supercoach relevant player, a season keeper that we could have. Now, at the start of the season, we're looking at numbers of like 53, 46, 58, 70. I mean, he's capable of it. But if Roosters are really going to start bringing in some form in terms of making a play for top 4, I think he has to be the person that puts them in front. Now, they have the bye in round 18. That is the only thing. That is 2 weeks. Then they have Parramatta, Melbourne, Newcastle, North Queensland, Bulldogs, Penrith, West Tigers, Dolphins, and South. This is a very nice run home besides the Bulldogs and Panthers game. So that's someone who I wanted to flag for you. Now, if we look at Nafahu White, his price is quite reasonable as well. That's one thing I like about him. $543,800, a break even of 41, and an ownership of 6%. So there's people out there that already have him, over 10,000 players. So that's just someone I wanted to flag. And there are some Roosters in these pods that I do really like. Let's talk about Marky Mark. Now, you're most really thinking, how is this guy a pod? He's mostly going to breach out of that poddish sort of area. Let's just have a Mark Nawanga Nitawaze. Oh my gosh, I finally said it. So he's currently at 6% Marky Mark. That is absurd. For someone of his caliber, in his last 2 games, he's gone 101 and 128. That is very, very scary. Now, is it time to get him? Are you going to miss out if you don't get him now? You're getting very, very close to it. $686,500 with a break even of 6 against the Broncos away. Now, if it's the same Broncos team we've been looking at the last few weeks, this could be very scary. He could easily put up another 100+ game. He then goes to Origin, and then they verse Parramatta. The thing is, in round 19 against Parramatta, the Roosters play on the Saturday, so there's a chance that he could easily back up for this game. The problem is, if you don't get him now, you could be in for a serious money, he could just go up, seriously, a huge amount of money, and you're just trying to fork out Latrell Mitchell type prices for him. If you can wait, then you don't get him for 18. He might not play 19, and you can focus on him in round 20 and onwards for the run home. The one thing I love about him is he can just snag a try out of nowhere. I don't really need to speak about his sort of value in the Roosters team. Everything goes that way, especially with Tupou out. He is the aerial target for the team. And we've seen what he's just done in Origin 2. We've seen what he just did against the Sharks. We've seen what he's done against Canberra. The guy is an absolute freak. So let's talk about Marky Mark there, and someone who we really need to focus on either way as a season keeper towards the end of this period. Next, I want to speak about Sam Walker. Now, I know you're most probably thinking, why are you bringing up Sam Walker if he's Origin bound? And that's correct. I wouldn't bring him in right now because of Origin, but I think at round 19, if he's listed to back up, I really like him as a bit of a smoky halfback. And when I say smoky halfback, the only reason I say that is because everyone just goes Nicho Hynes, Nathan Cleary. But I think there is a definite value in saying Sam Walker, Nathan Cleary. And we know that when people perform in Origin, it will translate to these regular season games, and we're already seeing it. Now, he's starting to take a huge amount of command. Look at this -1 that he got against Melbourne. That was horrible. But we've got a couple of 82s there. We've got Canberra getting 118. And last week against Sharks, who are quite good defenders against halfback, he still pops off a 60. So very, very interesting to look at how he's going to perform in the run home. Also, if you're thinking, why am I speaking like I'm whispering in some of these things? It's because my son is asleep. I do a lot of these videos late at night. And now that my studio's inside my house, because it used to be outside my house, I have to keep it down sometimes. So sorry if that comes off a bit weird, but that hopefully it sounds okay for you all. Now, Sam Walker, just to give you a price and also ownership status, he's at 592,000 with a 25 break even. He's sitting at 6% ownership, just under the 10,000 mark. Let's talk about the next pod. Tommy Turbo. This could be a make or break pick for very high ranked players. I think it's going to be so interesting to see how people navigate this. The safest way I can think of people playing this is wait until 17, see if he gets picked for Origin. If he doesn't get picked for Origin, he will then verse Parramatta, North Queensland, Gold Coast. Now, if you get him for Melbourne and he gets picked for Origin, you're likely missing out on him for Parramatta and North Queensland. That is really, really rough. Now, this run of Parramatta, North Queensland and Gold Coast, if he can stay healthy for this, I think you've got a minimum of 220-ish points coming out of him over those 3 games. And I think there's a lot of captaincy potential in him for those games. Now, is he Origin worthy? He is when he's healthy, but I wonder if Laurie Taylor will sit there and be like, he's just one run away from being injured, and that could cause so much strife for the New South Wales team. So I don't think he will play Origin. The only thing that really hurts us now is that Latrell Mitchell is injured, not playing in Origin. So that maybe increases his chances by 10 to 20% that he could possibly come in and play in the Origin or just be on the interchange. So that's something you have to weigh up. I think the safer play is waiting until 18 to see if he gets named and go from there. At the moment, though, let's have a look at his break-even and status. So he's still got 128 break-even. He definitely could go 100 plus against Melbourne Storm. They were 16 down to Canberra. They gave off a lot of points, and it is at 4 Pines Park. 128 break-even is massive though, but $607,900 price tag is amazing. It is time that you could possibly jump on him and go for gold. So weigh it up as you may. If you are trading him in or looking at him, what do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. That's super, super interesting. But yeah, had to flag him. 5% ownership, 9,500 selections for Tommy Turbo. Tane Tuapiki. I had to put him there. It's an interesting pick. I love his CT dub fullback duality. Last few games. Now, this is the thing. Against Sharks, he got 38. That's fine. That game was 10-8, 12-10 or something like that. So that was one of those tough, grindy games, and Sharks are already good against sort of your CT dubs, your fullbacks and your halves. Against Penrith, he gets 82. Against North Queensland, he gets 89. Against St. George, he gets 73. So in this last 3 out of 4 games, he's gone 70 plus. Now they have they have Dolphins and then a bye. But that period after that, West Tigers, St. George, Bulldogs, Gold Coast could be really, really nice. He's just a really good player that can put up a nice 80 plus score. I don't think you'll ever see 100 plus from him a lot, but if you're looking for a safe-ish pick and the duality of CT dub fullback could come in very, very handy, I have to point him out because he's a good player and they are firing. They are literally firing this New Zealand team, and we got to respect that. And who do we get from there that's really going to do it? I don't like going DWZ because he can have a real low floor. And, Charles Nickel-Cook side, he's firing. Adam Pompey had a great game. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's not there. Khan Pereira injured. Maybe a lot relies on Tane Tuapiki and that sort of just constant runs from him. So that's someone who I had to flag. 5% ownership, 8,000 selections. Tane Tuapiki, $576,000. Next, I want to speak about someone who I think if he can retain these type of scores, he's going to be a bombshell of a pick coming into the end of the season. Paul Alamotti. $664,000. Last 3 scores of 72, 109, and 102. He's an absolute beast, and on the wing, he's just a different Supercoach player. Whether he retains the wing, I highly doubt, but I had to flag him just as a pod because he's so good. And with North Queensland coming up in 17, with South coming up in 18, they then have the bye in 19, Broncos, Para, Canberra. A great run for Alamotti, and honestly, I know I'm doing this before team lists, but geez, he's such a good player. And even if he does play center, he could easily snag a lot of points. I love him, as I said, in wing, but this guy, he's just hitting some form now that I think I really want to respect and focus him. And I'm going to be very interested to see because, you know, Brian To'o to me hasn't had that great of a season, and there could be just changes made where Alamotti does just get the wing spot. You don't know what could happen, but no matter what, he's just a great player. I really love him, and he has premiership. Like in finals, we've seen him just perform at an elite level, always scoring tries, and he's hitting his stride at the moment. I really, really like it, and I think he's someone you should really consider at his price. 664,000 is pretty cheap for poor Alamotti in a Penrith Panthers team. 47 break even. I think the time to get him is now. And he's at 3% ownership. So 5,800 players own him. Crazy. All right. I want to talk about someone who's in a very average team, but he's been posting up super consistent numbers, and he may come into my team. There's only one problem. He's not going to give you the ceiling of, you know, your 80 plus scores, but he is going to give you scores likely between 60 to 75. And that is Jack Williams from the Parramatta Eels. I had a look at him. The one thing I really love about him, besides obviously him playing for the Parramatta Eels, is that he plays 17, he plays 18, and he plays 19. Has a bye in round 20. But that coverage of the major and mini bye, I think can come in really, really useful. 65 points, 72 points, and 69 in his last three. He's going to verse South, Manly, and Sydney Roosters. And yes, they are going to be some tough games, but he's the type of guy that just has huge base, averaging 57 in base in the team he's in. Maybe Parramatta can hit some type of form. I don't think they will, but even onwards, Penrith in 21, Tigers in 22, South Sydney in 23, North Queensland in 24, Dolphins in 25, and then you got Sharks and St. George in 26, 27. I really like the thoughts of like him and Iongi because the run home for Parramatta isn't crazy bad. It's actually got some really high scoring games in there, I reckon. So Jack Williams could be really, really good. And I had to flag him because he also has 2RF and FRF duality. 57 break even, so he should beat that. And he's just a consistent scorer, eh? Someone who I'm going to heavily look at next season as well, I think. What's his ownership at? 3% ownership, 5,800. All right, let's get to our next one. No, I was going to talk about Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I think that is just way too gimmicky based off his last score. Really, really happy with the list I made. And if you haven't listened to my pods videos before, the one thing I always do is I talk about players that I would consider bringing into my team at this point in time. So if you guys think, oh, wow, oh, my mic literally is falling apart. Anyway, if you guys think to yourself, you know, who do I need to get? What do I need to do to be different in my team? Hopefully one of these players stood out to you. The problem is when you pod and you pod incorrectly, it can really hurt you when people have gone on a linear route and picked you like Hamole Olakawatus or picked your premiums that just work out. But I think there's some great picks in here. I love scanning the low ownership players. And one actually, gosh, I just found one. I'm surprised I didn't speak. There's actually two here we need to speak about. I'm so sorry. Isaiah Iongi. Let's just speak about him for a second. Someone who I'm possibly targeting. I was a bit put off by him when I heard Latrell Mitchell was going to be playing this week against Eels. That is now not going to happen. And he could be set for a really nice finish to the season. Love, as I said, we've just gone through the draw for the Parramatta Eels. 603,000. He's got a 2% ownership. And I get it. There's fullbacks out there that have so much more value. Your Kalen Pongers, your Sulfar Logos, even your James Tedesco's. I understand. But Iongi has the potential of having a really nice run. It was only, look at his recent scores. He's dropped a 97 and a 93 in his last 3 games. That is in 2 of his last 3 games. That is really, really good. Now, the last player I'm going to speak about, really interesting pick, is Cody Nikorima. 2,833 selections at 2%. It was really interesting to see him play without Isaiah Katoa. And I don't know how long Isaiah Katoa is out for, but at $606,000, this guy could be really, really good. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing more pods in the list as well. Yeah, really interesting to see how he goes. Dolphins are firing. They're making a play this season for finals footy with ease. And I think he could be someone that in that 5'8" spot that can be so harsh and so annoying, he could be really good. Now, the problem is it's a heavy price tag for a 5'8" position, but I had to flag it. He's so good of a player. Him and Katoa are one of the best halves partners I've seen in footy. It's so fun to watch, and he could be really, really good. Now, I've seen one more pod I need to speak about, and that's Lehigh Hopewadi. Now, the problem with Lehigh Hopewadi is he's had some rough games, and when Tommy Turbo went down, I thought him and Cooler would link a lot more. He had some rough games. Look, a score of 40 and a score of 36, but last week a score of 99. He's very attack dependent and reliant, but if he and Manly can strengthen some things together, the big positive was here, Hamole Olakau'atu was back. Ruben Garrick was there on the right side. And I think with Tommy Turbo back, pardon me, this is where you see it boost in the left side of the field. When Tommy Turbo is back, you can just absolutely see it. It floats right and left. When he wasn't there, they went right a bit more. So I think it gives a lot of value to Cooler and Lehigh Hopewadi. The only thing is Cooler is obviously origin bound. Lehigh Hopewadi isn't. 1.7% ownership, $558,000. Could be very, very good for you. Take that as you wish. That is it. That is my pods video. I hope you really enjoyed this. I call this the pods for the run home that can help you rank up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment, 5-star review for podcasts. And if you want to join the Discord, it is in the description below. Catch you guys soon. Wolfie here from the Rage Traders. Take care.